I was a kid, I used to know my grandma's mom. She go jig around, make me jig too when I was a little kid. I've always had an association with our language as Métis people, with that feeling of love. The goal for me with these kids is that they get to have these memories, that they're out on the land, they're with their family, with Métis people, and they're having fun, speaking the language, and all those things get associated for them again.
The idea of the project was to partner a teacher or an educator with a Michif speaker or a knowledge carrier, and for them to build a relationship as well as creating a project that would be meaningful and impactful for children, to help to inspire or guide teachers to collaborate in creating sort of meaningful experience for Indigenous students and non-Indigenous students in their class.
The importance of showing and highlighting the language in particular is because it's disappearing. It's an endangered language. Michif is an endangered language.
Métis people, the language that we speak, it varies. Some people talk straight French, and it's Michif, but it's still Michif. Some people talk it half and half, you know. Some people talk mostly Cree, you know, but it's still Michif. Michif est pixquea, et sagietwea, et wa hutua, la pelanti, et hayaya.
Being able to see it and hear it is it's an important part of developing strong, positive identities as Métis children and Métis students in schools.
I'm trying to get more into my culture, cause my mom, this is me and my brother. We're the first generation to actually be in touch with their culture and not be taken away. My mom doesn't know a lot about her culture, so me and my brother are lucky.
So this type of resource would be helpful to support them in recognizing their identities and recognizing that their culture is alive and it exists right now. It's a framework to help teachers see how they can access the knowledge of a Métis language and cultural carrier, how they can use that resource in their classroom.
I don't like it.
At the start it's hard because you're kind of building those relationships, but once some of those relationships start to flourish and you start to really work as a good team, then I think you really do more positive work. As far as wanting to dictate everything that's going to be happening, I think that's a little bit unrealistic and maybe something we need to change in our expectations before we go into those types of experiences. If you're inviting an expert in, then you're sort of setting yourself aside as a helper and not necessarily an expert, even though you might still be the teacher of those students.
We have our own education system, Métis people. So when we learn Michif language, it's not something you just learn out of a book, right? Education is a kinship process. It goes together.
Well, we kind of just been going to chop down wood and making stuff to dry our meat with. And me and James and DG, we all made a lean-to and we slept in it last night. We kind of used the spruce off the trees to make the bedding. We also hang the tarp up to make it more like a shelter in more of a slanted way. This is actually my first time doing something like this in a long time. So it's nice to reconnect with my culture and everything more out in the wilderness. It's nice.
What I'm trying to do is make them learn the same way as we used to learn a long time ago. The way a little kid learns any language. just in context, in practice, from using the language with them in those situations. West way. You guys can say West way? Yeah, that's what that's called, yeah.
We've been learning lots of Machif words, and we've been playing outside and making lots of fires.
Yesterday, we were picking some musquash, which is bark off of the bark trees.
We would just peel it off the white trees and put them in the fire so we could make it make the fire go like a big higher.
They gotta learn one thing at a time. So they learn Westway, and they learn, a kinship term. Maybe they learn Pansawan, and that's good for 2 days to learn a couple words. It's good. Oh yeah, Westway. We'll come put it where we're gonna make fire, huh?
With either language immersion or other language experiences, it can be difficult, I guess, to take the small wins, because language learning in particular is much less, I guess, sensational than the cultural aspects, because it takes a lot of time. It's not necessarily something you can complete in a day. Younger kids, when they say a word or when they're going to do an activity and they're using a Machif word, I think those moments were kind of the most impactful for me. Trying to think of ways where you can integrate the language into activities.
This morning their moms was trying to say to them, can you girls go get some more of that bark to start a fire? And they didn't know what to do. Their mom had to think of that word. Westquay, can you go get that Westquay?
It's my culture, and I want to learn more. And then maybe when I have kids, I'm gonna pass on what I learned.
It's important because we gotta have our culture keep on going by generations and generations. It can't stop, and it shouldn't stop.
When you know and you learn the language, it opens up a lot more to your culture. That sticks in your brain forever. It's not gonna go away. And stuff like this is never gonna go away.
The hardest part is the first step. I know a lot of people are very intimidated by the prospect of teaching Indigenous studies, culture, or language, because they don't necessarily feel maybe like it's their place. Sounds silly, but follow your heart and just go for it. Try your best. Take the first step. Learn what you can. Meet the people that you can. Reach out to the people in your school board, and they should be able to connect you with others.
What I want them to take away from this camp is to know that they always had a home here. That with our people and our language and the land, that'll always be home for them. I want them to always have that association, of love and belonging, with the land and with our people.